API 1169 Pipeline Construction Inspector, Module 1, Basic Facts. In this module, you shall learn about important points, area of knowledge and proficiency, our e-learning services and benefits, know about API certification in general and API 1169 in particular, how to apply, and what you should expect on exam day. Important points. API 1169 Pipeline Construction Inspector must have a broad knowledge base relating to the construction of new offshore, onshore pipeline construction. This includes inspector responsibilities, personnel and general pipeline safety, environmental and pollution control, and general pipeline construction inspection. API 1169 Pipeline Construction Inspector Certification Exam is designed to determine if applicants have such knowledge. Candidates will be given 3 hours to complete the 115 question, 100 scored, 15 not scored on a computer. Scored and non-scored questions are shuffled together, so you need to answer all the questions. Questions are multiple choice and reference materials are not allowed. You can attend the exam at a parametric test center of your choice or by remote proctoring from the comfort of your office or home, but exam rules remain the same. US and Canadian government-based safety and environment-related reference materials will be provided during the exam on the desktop. You may choose to use either set of references to answer open book questions. This exam has been reviewed and approved by Canadian experts for use by Canadian pipeline industry. When a reference has a Canadian equivalent, for example API 1104 and CSA Z662-19, candidate may choose to study either the American or Canadian references, with the assurance that exam question will focus on area where the technical content overlaps. Please note that the keyword search button disabled during the exam, so you should know where to look for during the open book part of the exam. We recommend flagging them off and attempt them at the end, since looking for answer could be time consuming. Some questions may only be answered using OSHA regulations, Occupational Safety and Health Authorization Regulations. These questions are clearly identified in the exam and will say according to OSHA, in order that applicants will know to use the OSHA regulation provided during the exam to answer these questions. To determine whether the applicants have sufficient knowledge of inspection practices and related topics, a minimum of 1 question from each main category listed within this body of knowledge will be included on the API certification exam. That is 12 to 15 questions on average. The only information that covered is one of the reference material listed in the body of knowledge or publication effect sheet will be only used for the examination questions. We have highlighted the reference documents as per body of knowledge, marking potential questions. See our module 15. You can download these marked documents or alternatively download them via API ICP website. Area of knowledge and proficiency. The inspector should be knowledgeable of general inspection responsibilities, requirements, and expectations for pipeline construction that enable him or her to effectively carry out his or her duties. The following is a list of topics that an applicant should be familiar with and expect to be tested during the API 1169 Pipeline Construction Inspection exam. 1. Pipeline Construction Inspection Management Knowledge Areas. So that includes quality assurance, safety, environment, SWPP, training and qualifications. Front-end construction includes survey and staking, line coating, right-of-way clearing and grading. That includes alignment sheets, specification, permits, and reporting. Installation construction includes stringing, bending, welding, NDE, wrenching, crossing, drills, coating, adding, lowering in, and tie-ins. Back-end construction includes cathodic protection, as-built survey, backfill, right-of-way cleanup, restoration, hydrostatic testing, and peaking. The post-construction includes line list, final completion, and turnover. Why us? We shall provide you with all the concepts and knowledge you need to know in order to pass the exam. This includes the complete body of knowledge explained and highlighted. We have also highlighted and included the 12 US open book safety and environmental documents plus 4 important reference documents since they are not copyrighted. We shall provide you with flashcards for quick reference. They should be treated as potential exam question. We shall provide you with mock exam questions that are specifically designed in line with the spirit of API 1169 exam questions. Our course content goes through 7 checkpoints to ensure that it is easy to understand. It is focused on the body of knowledge and is in line with ISO 29990 learning services for non-formal education and training, basic requirements for service providers so you know what you are expected to learn at the end of each module. Our course editors are all qualified API 1169 inspectors who edit the course based on the latest revision and addendums, who have years of industry experience, while many of the group members have passed the exam in the past 6 years, so they are fairly up to date. There are 4 definite lists to help you understand what type of questions to expect during examination. These are publication effective sheet, body of knowledge, score reports, and experience of other candidates who attempted the exam. Regardless of which study plan you may wish to take or which training course you opt for, this shall lead you to focus your efforts and do the pulse check to ensure that you are on the right track. You can start the self-study by collecting API 1169 Pipeline Construction Inspector reference documents. Obviously, you would save some money, but instead may be prone to make some silly mistakes that can cost you success in the exam that you would otherwise rightfully deserve. Miss the chance to review our latest question bank based on the actual API score sheets. Miss those key points presented by our team of course editors in the form of flashcards as potential exam question, plus missing all the important concepts that we offer to make your life easier right from the start. Your approach and study plan are also important. If you merely memorize the facts and figures without fully understanding the aspects of pipeline construction, in your role as a pipeline inspector, there is still a high chance of getting the answer wrong because API exam questions are often rephrased. In other words, API questions do not use statements from codes and recommended practices word by word. API wants to verify your understanding of concepts and knowledge and how you use them under various scenarios in order to perform as a pipeline construction inspector. You can choose our training package that has the advantage of explaining core principles and concepts. Our exam questions are in line with actual API exam question and aimed at reminding you of concepts, how to apply these concepts, how to avoid loopholes, and how to handle the trick question. We shall explain all these topics in sufficient detail so the course would suit all candidates with any level of knowledge and expertise. Our training approach helps you solve any relevant question within any context and scenario, since you would be capturing the concept, principle, and theory rather than memorizing some numbers or facts without understanding the underlying reason or how it is applied. We do not claim that our e-learning course are the only option to pass the exam. nor we claim that our course would substitute studying reference material, standards, and recommended practices. However, we do claim being one of the best API 1169 training providers because we shall explain the A to Z of registering, preparing, and attending the API 1169 exam, explain terms and definitions in an easy to understand format, complete with pictures, provide you with sufficient explanations so no matter what your level of expertise in each topic is, you shall have the complete information and knowledge. Explain API 1169 in an easy to understand and comprehensive way, and also highlight the areas where potential questions may come. Provide you with 7 sets of flashcards as a quick reference for potential questions. Provide you with 6 sets of mock exam in line with API exam question. Support you through a chat line where you can ask any question from our instructor, or if you need any further explanation about a specific topic. How to apply. API examinations are divided into 2 main groups, core exams and non-core exams. All API examinations are held 3 times a year, and each API certification has a 3-week window that you should choose from at the time of registration. After registering and approval by API, your 3 weeks window is frozen and you can only select the date, the location, date, and time at a Prometric test center. Seats are limited at your preferred Prometric location, so select the date and time as soon as you can. Prometric is subcontracted by API to hold the computer-based examination. The deadline to get API authorization email is approximately 2 months or 10 weeks prior to the selected test window. To get the API approval, in order to sit for a particular test, file the application form by registering with API ICP by using the below link, apply. Create an account and then upload the supporting documents, your qualification certification, provide 2 references and pay the fee. To find out about exams schedule and fees, click on this link below, schedule and fees. API shall verify your claimed experience by contacting the 2 references you have provided, which is recommended. Brief your references so they know which inspection fit and for how long you have claimed the experience for. This would avoid any discrepancy that may result from your claimed experience against their verification. There are more than 3,000 Prometric test centers across 160 countries worldwide to choose from. All Prometric test centers operate on a first-come, first-served basis. Therefore, API cannot promise that you will be able to obtain a seat at your preferred location. It is highly recommended that you schedule your exam immediately after receiving your exam authorization notice email from API. If seats are not available, try a different date within the same window or choose another location. Currently, API allows attending the exam from the comfort of your home or office through remote proctoring Prometric test center. This is called remote testing. To know more, you can click on this remote testing, and at the time of application you should choose remote testing if you wish to do so. To read frequently asked questions on Prometric website, use the link below, FAQ. Please note that during registration with API, you are required to select one of the available 3 weeks window. Once this window is selected, you cannot change it, which means you can only attempt the exam within the selected 3 weeks window unless you decide to reschedule and pay the fees, which is as good as failing the exam. Remember, no-show and failing to book a seat or even inability to book a seat at your preferred test center is as good as failing the exam itself. Although the deadline to get the application approved prior to your selected test window is around 2 months, you might not be able to find a suitable available date, or worse, you might not be able to get a seat at your favorite test center within the allocated 3-week window if you receive your approval too late, or you select the test center too late. Therefore, it's recommended that you register and get the approval around 3 to 4 months away. For non-core exams such as API, normally there is a good chance of getting the convenient test location at the next available test window. You can change the location and date up to 30 days before the last day of test window, free of charge, and between 5 to 29 days for a charge of $70. API gives each candidate 12 consecutive months to pass an exam. beginning from the first scheduled test window. This means you can give 4 consecutive times, and after that, if you do not pass within a year, for any reason, then you should apply all over again and pay the full fee, initial fee. One of our trainees received the API authorization notice for 577 months before the selected test window, but only attempted to book a seat with Prometric only 2 months before the test. As a result, his closest Prometric center, London, was already full, so he had to fly to Amsterdam to attend the exam. Therefore, it's strongly recommended to book your slot as soon as you receive the API authorization notice that allows you to book a slot with Prometric. API certification, recertification, rescheduling, and cost. So the initial certification is valid for 3 years and cost $480, $360 if your company has an API member. So API does not give individual membership. It should be only your company you're working for. After 3 years, you need to apply for recertification, demonstrating that you still work as an API inspector for 20% of the time. Recertification costs $360. You may apply for recertification 90 days before your certificate expiry date and up to 90 days after the expiry date, subject to a late application of additional $150. If you have not submitted even after the grace period, the certificate will expire. That means a new application should be submitted, full fees paid, and you need to pass the initial exam. API inspectors are required to take an online open quiz every 6 years in order to recertify. Each quiz has 25 questions, and you have a total of 4 hours to complete the quiz, and it can be paused or interrupted up to 3 times. And you have 2 chances to pass the quiz. If you can't pass within the 2 chances, then you have to, again, your certificate would expire and you need to apply new. For rescheduling your exam, you have to pay $150 if you fail or no show for any reason that you haven't attended within the same window that you have selected initially. After requesting for rescheduling, you shall receive an approval letter within a day or 2. Then book your exam with Prometric as soon as possible. Remember, you have 1 year from the date of your first exam to pass, which entitles you to maximum 4 consecutive attempts. On exam day, make sure that you are at the Prometric center before the scheduled time. If you reach a test center 15 minutes after the exam, they may refuse to admit you. Before letting you in, they shall check your government issued photo ID and ask you to sign in, check with a metal detector, check your sleeves, and ask you to take your pockets out, check your camera, there is no recording device on it, and ask you a security question, date of birth, email address, and take your picture. You cannot carry anything except a bottle of water, no ornaments except a wedding ring. Then they supply you with some A4 size paper, pencil, and a calculator. If you have opted for remote proctoring or remote exam, you're not allowed to use your own pen and paper. Therefore, any calculation shall be done by a desktop calculator. You should have a valid government-issued photo ID. If it is not valid, then they will refuse you entry and they mention it as a no-show. During the API 653 exam, one of our candidates' benefit of expired driving license was refused entry. Returned half an hour later with a valid passport, but by that time it was too late, as the Prometric said. As a result, he had to reschedule, pay $300 for 653 rescheduling, and appear for the exam 6 months later. So as a plan B, it's always better to have 2 valid government-issued photo ID. Simply not worth it to be refused entry for an ID issue after all the time, effort, and money you have put in. Prior to exam, shall be given the key to a locker to keep your belongings. Not allowed to use the locker until you have completed the exam. Immediately after completion, shall receive an email notifying you whether you have passed or failed. It could be a preliminary pass, A marginal pass too close to call or a preliminary fail. You shall receive confirmed score up to 8 weeks after last day of the 3-week examination window. And it takes another 6 to 8 weeks after receipt of confirmed score to receive a hard copy of certification and wallet card by post. However, you can print off the wallet card and certification from your API account once you receive the confirmed score. The pass mark is approximately 70%, minimum 400 on a scale of 500 for all the API examination. No negative marking, therefore answer all the questions. At the end, click the review all button and peruse through the list to ensure that you have not skipped any question. You can challenge any question you wish by writing on this caption or comment sheet, but remember that this is the time spent to write a comment is coming off your allocated time. After ID verification, security check, and letting you into examination room, you first go through a tutorial that may last for 10 minutes or earlier if you pass the end session button. Then the actual exam begins once you end the tutorial and the clock starts ticking. And you can see the remaining time on the right hand corner of the computer screen. The 12 US and 9 Canadian safety environment reference documents in PDF format shall be available. You can choose either of them to answer the open book question, and the word search is disabled, but you can see at the table of contents there. At least one question shall be given from each open book reference. It is common in both US and Canadian open book reference, so expect 12 to 15 questions out of 110 scored question or 115 total question. The questions are fairly simple and straightforward, but you should have a fair idea what each reference covers. Pay special attention to tables. The most important open book US references are 49 CFR 192 and 195, liquid and gas transportation, as well as OSHA 1910 and 1926. For a list of Canadian and US open book references, please use the below link. We have included them in the body of current e-learning course, highlighting potential exam question. Also see our module 16. Remember, if during the exam you wish to leave the exam room to say using the toilet, you need to take your ID with you, report to the security outside the examination room and sign out. On return, we shall go through the same initial security check and sign in. During all this time, the clock is running. Sitting for exam can be stressful, so try to have enough sleep the night before. On the exam day, just peruse the important parts of the reference documents or look at the figures and charts for a couple of hours maximum. Let your brain rest. You need to be alert and full of energy to endure the exam. Remember, your exam is not concluded until your time is up or when you press the end exam button. You can see lists of attempted and non-attempted questions by pressing the review all button. They have a different color. If you flagged it off, there is a flag also highlighting there on each question. The frequently asked question API website that you can click on this and go there. There is also a tutorial prior to exam that explains how the buttons work. You can find the tutorial by clicking on this link. The exam would automatically start after the 10-minute allocated time for the tutorial, or if you end it earlier. The icons are simple and user-friendly. Remember, you can flag off the question that you are not sure of and return to them. Also, right-click on selected answer to eliminate them. You can either use review all the question or review the flagged off question during any remaining time left to ensure you have answered all the questions to the best of your knowledge. You can see the remaining time under the upper right hand corner. Remember that the clock does not stop for any reason once you start the test. For example, when you use the bathroom, or when you wish to make a comment on a particular question, or for any other reason whatsoever. So use the allocated time wisely. Allocated time seems to be sufficient to answer all the questions as well as reviewing them. The last tips I would give you is don't waste more than 1 minute, because you got 1.5 minutes on average per question. So don't spend more than 1 minute on a question. If you still can answer it within a minute or slightly more, then just flag it off, jump to the next question and come back to them